The maritime sector is an essential part of Nigeria's economy, and in recent years, the sector has been witnessing transformation to make it more vibrant and responsive to the needs of the country. But can the maritime sector in Nigeria take the place of crude oil to become the mainstay of the economy? Welcome to Business Nigeria. I am Tolulokpe Ogunjobi. Thank you for staying tuned. Now, the maritime sector is of critical significance to any economy. It is the main means for transporting goods internationally, and many cities rely on their ports as a major source of revenue. The maritime industry, which is a subsector of the transport sector, globally accounts for over 70% of transportation requirements of the world. The maritime industry is a key sector of the Nigerian economy, considering the fact that it is an oil-producing and exporting country. Now, shipping remains very crucial to the economy as the petroleum industry, which is currently the mainstay and revenue earner, depending on largely on shipping, and without shipping products, lifting becomes impossible, as it is the backbone of the oil and gas production and marketing. Nigeria as a nation is endowed with a vast coastline as well as navigable inlands, and it is strategically placed on the Atlantic coast of West Africa. However, 76% of shipping business that takes place in the world of West Africa is done in Nigeria alone, which means that Nigeria is very important in West African sea ladder. The sector is an essential part of trade, which demands innovative solutions and careful management systems to ensure its long-term sustainability. Well, joining me in the studio is a freight forwarder who is also the Deputy National President of NAGAF. His name is Increase Uche. Thank you very much for your time on the show.
Thank you.
Yes, I must start in this way. We've identified the lots of benefits in the sector, the maritime sector. In your words, how do you think we can unlock the potentials in the maritime sector?
Yes, in my own word, as a freight forwarder, we can unlock the potentials in the maritime sector by identifying the key players in the industry, particularly the freight forwarders. We are referred to as the barometer with which economic activities is measured in any economy. And the bypass of this sector is actually affecting the development of the maritime industry.
Talking about bypass of this sector in straight terms, because I know when you talk about the maritime industry, it has to do with, when you talk about port operations, you're talking about the port angle of it, the NPAs, the customs. There are lots of angles. It's so interwoven. Now, bypass, I want to understand what you mean by that.
Yes, you see, the freight forwarding subsector is so vital in the chain of a cargo movement. But oftentimes you discover that when government want to award contracts that has to do with international movement of Nigerian cargo, we are not consulted. We have not gotten the full recognition. Though an act was passed, Act number 16 of 2007, giving us a council, the FFN, Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria, which is to regulate the business of freight forwarding in Nigeria. But still, as we speak, the sector is yet to, take its rightful place in the committee of other professionals. Because the council now is not working, it's not functional. You understand? So that is part of the major problem, that if the council is working and the freight forwarding sector, is kind of recognized and allowed to play its parts in the maritime sector, I think the difference will be clear.
We're talking about international trade here, a country that imports over 100 million tons of goods, general cargo, and we don't have any operating ship, cargo, vessel as we speak. That is a challenge. But before I go there, how can we harness this several facets of the maritime sector to generate forex? Now, looking at the international trade which we involve in through the movement of goods and services.
That's a good one. Now, I want to say categorically that in international trade, you see, we look at cargo movement. At the end of the year, we kind of, aggregate the freight, the tonnage, freight tonnage. Now, where the problem lies is government allowing the freight charges paid by Nigerians to be on an estimated, level, where we open for M. The for M opened allows the importer or the consultant, the freight consultant that is handling the job, to open for M on CIF, in which freight charges is estimated and is paid to the shipper over there. And once this thing is estimated, it adds to the cost of clearing goods. This is one of the areas where you discover that even the government reserve, their foreign reserve there is depleted. It's not just like what government did recently through fiscal policy of restricting forests on 41 items. That one is not enough. We are looking at a situation where freight forwarders are allowed to play their actual part, playing the part in which the CIF, this arrangement on opening of LCs is reversed to FOB, whereby the freight charges is paid locally here. When it is paid locally here and remitted in Nigerian currency, it will preserve our foreign reserve over there.
Interesting. That is really a good one. Now let's go back to port operations again. Now, as the concessioning of the port, has it yielded the desired results in your assessment? You know, a lot of comments has come from that, but you are a player in the sector.
Yes.
How would you assess it?
Yes, the port concession was a good one. My association, NAGAF, we are part of those that was in the vanguard of propagating the issue of concessioning the ports during NPA era. And we thank God that at the end of the day, this government listened and then did the concessioning. But looking at it now, we can't say actually that the targets of making the port more efficient, competitive, user-friendly has been achieved. For now, the concessioning arrangement has not paid off. The concessionaires there are there, kind of usurping, impoverishing Nigerians. The policies they churn out on the importing masses. It's not in tandem with international shipping laws.
Indeed. So one very important question that I know I must ask you before we move off this segment is the issue of land border restriction for vehicle importations. I want to know in straight terms how this has impacted on business and maybe your members and all that are involved in all of this, because a lot of conversation has been generated with this very move by the government.
Yes, the restriction of this car importation through the land border is a welcome development. My association is in support of that. You see, what actually determines the survival of business in any environment is government policy. Government policy, in the area of political environments, what government have done is a step in the right direction. If this cargo moving, if they are allowed to pass through the ports, it will create more jobs, it will create more revenue. The concessionaires, like we discussed here now, will be more happy, because for some few months now, so many their staff were retrenched because of a lack of a cargo flow. So we need cargo to pass through the ports. Passing cargo through the border has not paid off. They pay less duty. Customs at the border is not helping matters, because you check the duty pays on a particular vehicle, the same type of vehicle year of make the same, this is now the same model, paying different duties. You pay like 800,000 naira for a Camry of a 2006 model at the port, while at the border station somebody pays less than 400,000. Why shouldn't that encourage people? And you look at it again, that most of the cargo coming through Cotonou are on transit. They are not, diversion. They are cargo. They are on transit. The importers import through that area deliberately. But I can't blame them so much, because some of the, conditions, we look at the environment in the port, it's not conducive.
Indeed, that takes me to my next question, which is the port congestion. Many have suggested that having a dry port, or putting up strategic infrastructures such as the dry port system, is the way out of this.
The dry port, that is the dry ports, that the ICDs.
Yeah.
These are the hinterlands. Yes, it helps a lot. It will help. It will help to reduce congestion in the port, because cargo coming into the port is not meant to remain in the port. It's meant to move. So once it is stagnated, the inventory is not, reduced at any given time. Once the cargo build up, the number of cargo leaving the port exceeds the one coming in. If ship discharge more and less is removed from the port, it builds up a congestion. That is why the ICDs should be encouraged, so that as cargo drops at the port, it is moved straight to the hinterlands to allow for other incoming cargo.
The increase, which I think that's what time can take. Now, the deputy national president of NAGAF, and I think the acting president here.
Yes,
of the
acting
association.
president now.
I must thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And giving insight into issues surrounding the maritime sector, very important at this time when we even intend to diversify our economy.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on Business.
Thank you very much. Welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, after a series of delays, the Nigerian government has released the pricing of its $1 billion Eurobond. And I've been joined via Skype by Victor Ophili, a researcher. Oh, that'll be after this break. Well, we'll be right back with more on the show. Stay with us. Well, in what is a sign of investors' confidence in the Nigerian economy, the country's $1 billion Eurobond, $1 billion Eurobond was approximately 8 times oversubscribed, with others in excess of $7.8 billion. The bond, with an interest rate of 7.87%, would be repaid after 15 years. A statement from Nigeria's Ministry of Trade said despite continued volatility in emerging and frontier markets, the subscription of the bond is a demonstration of the confidence by the international investment community in Nigeria's economic reform agenda. The bond was introduced to investors at a roadshow to key global financial centers led by the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udo Udoma, and the Governor of the Apex Bank, that's a central bank, Godwin Emefiele. Well, joining me via Skype, like I said earlier, to talk more on this is a researcher with Cowrie Assets, Victor Ophili. Victor, would you agree in totality that this move shows that investors' confidence is gradually coming back to Nigeria? Talking about the reaction to this Eurobond.
Yes, I would say that investors' confidence is gradually coming back. Why? Because Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. Okay, and Nigeria has a lot of potentials. It has a lot of market. Its market size is quite huge. It has a lot of demand, to absorb whatever you produce, and even imports from abroad. So the market is there. Okay, so the confidence level came about because we saw a gradual increase in our external reserves. This actually boosted our profile, debt profile. All right. Hello.
I can hear you. Right, go on, Victor.
Okay. This boosted our credit rating, our credit profile, I should say, not credit rating, but credit profile. All right. We also been seeing an increase in crude oil prices. Of course, you know that Nigeria's mainstay is crude oil production, crude oil revenues. So that has added to the profile positively. Okay, and that resulted in this subscription of our issuance.
So you totally agree that because this move is actually aimed at rebalancing our debt profile, that's towards a longer term financing and reduce the burden of interest on our annual budget. Do you see this move as checking all of this identified?
Yes, I would say that it's because it's a long-term debt instrument. It reduces the burden of repayment. However, the 15-year instrument was shorter, has a shorter maturity than the last Eurobond that was auctioned, which is a 20-year, or which was a 20-year issue. All right. So because of that inherent risk in Nigeria as a whole, there's an economic risk in Nigeria. There's a risk, so investors charge a higher risk premium, okay, and that's why it's expensive at 17.87%, compared to the last time when Nigeria issued its Eurobond at 6.38%. Okay, that's a 1.5% difference, or 1.5% increase in yield. So that means it's at a higher, investors demanded a higher premium. But I would say 15% is still fair. Okay, it allows time for government to really to spread out its payments nicely, and also I'm sure within that time, Nigerians' economic fortunes would have been reversed significantly, giving government's current focus on diversifying the economy, building infrastructure, and I'm sure this policy will continue in the medium to long term. And so we see an increased ability, increased output, and increased ability of government to really offset this kind of long-term obligation.
Well, we know that Eurobonds are at the moment the easiest platform for international fundraising, which we all know. But would you compare this to the likes of the IMFs and the World Bank? Would you also say that the Eurobonds are the right way to go?
Okay, I would say loans from IMF and the World Bank, multilaterals in generally, have a lot more concession and are way cheaper than the Eurobond issuance. But if you look at the debt mix, I think, the total external borrowing scheduled for 2016 or projected for 2017 rather, it's about 3.5 billion US dollars, of which the Eurobond accounts for $1 billion, which is about 28 or close to 29% of total external debt scheduled for this year. So which means that the remainder will have to do with multilaterals and bilaterals. Okay, the bilaterals likes of China, from Japan. Okay, the others will be that the multilaterals will come from the World Bank, IMF. So these countries or organizations give more concessionary terms than the Eurobond market. So given that majority of this external debt is sourced from multilaterals, bilaterals, I think the mix is very good.
So on the final note now, we're sure that this can partly help us address budget deficit and some infrastructure growth in the country?
Yes, provided that we're able to rev up our crude oil production, crude oil revenues, because our capital expenditure, for instance, accounts for, or let me say the projected revenue is about 4 billion, or more than close to $5 billion, compared to the expenditure or the total budget of 7.30, which means there's a deficit. Okay, and much of this budget will go towards recurrent expenditure, which is about 5 trillion naira. So which means that given that our revenue will be swallowed entirely by recurrent expenditure, there was a need to borrow externally, all right, and also locally. But then to go back to your question, the Eurobond, impact on Eurobond will only be felt when we're able to produce maximally, optimally, in terms of crude oil production, crude oil output, taking advantage of the current high prices in crude oil prices. Okay, so having taken care of that angle, then we'll say that we begin to see the effect of this external borrowing on infrastructure development, because majority of the budget is still skewed towards recurrent expenditure.
I must thank you for your time, researcher Wikari Assets Victor Ofili, for your time on the show. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Well, finally on the program now, crude oil prices remain mixed in the global market on Monday as demand for the product drops. Now, at the London market, the Brent crude trades at $56 a barrel, while the OPEC basket Brent trades lower at $52 per barrel. Analysts expect price jumps in the coming months. Well, that's all we have for you today on Business Nigeria. Join us another time for a fresh episode. I am Tolu Lokpe Ogunjobi. I'll leave you with the figures of the exchange rate as it stands today. On behalf of the entire production crew, thank you for watching. Bye for now.